So the question was, what was the process of dropping out of Stanford when I was 19?
Starting a company called Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes became the world's first youngest self-made billionaire. This company claimed that it was going to revolutionize global healthcare and change the world. The company quickly became around $9 billion and got substantial sums of money from investors. It got so popular that Elizabeth was on the cover of magazines and was being hailed for looking similar to Apple's founder, Steve Jobs. The only problem was that her whole company was based on nothing but lies. Let's uncover the story of Elizabeth Holmes, a female entrepreneur who expected to hack her way into becoming the world's first, youngest, self-made billionaire, but was exposed.
So the question was, what was the process of dropping out of Stanford when I was 19?
At just 19, Elizabeth dropped out of Stanford University, an institute that is one of the hardest to get into. It was clear that she was already special, with many hopes and dreams ahead of her. Elizabeth dropped out of the university to start her own business called Real-Time Cures. But shortly after, she decided to rename her company to Theranos, which it was called amidst all the modern chaos. From a very young age, Elizabeth had a fear of needles, and that is precisely what sparked her passion for creating a new and innovative solution. To do that, she started Theranos, which aims to get a single drop of your blood and would treat hundreds of different diseases with that single drop. Sounds suspicious, but amazing at the same time. And since Elizabeth came from a well-off family, she was able to raise a good amount of money to keep the company up and running at least. But behind the company, Elizabeth was a very persuasive salesman and a people person, and many internet memes would indicate that she's the perfect mix of Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs. Interestingly enough, investors were drawn in by her charm and her calm demeanor, but if we look closely, the people who invested in Theranos didn't have a medical background, but they were simply trusting in Elizabeth, hoping to be involved in the next big company. But behind all this gold was nothing but lies and manipulation. You see, Elizabeth didn't have the cure, but hired a bunch of scientists to do research and find a solution where a single drop of blood would be enough to diagnose a plethora of diseases. She even started a 24/7 research practice and hired 2 teams of scientists. The team that makes the most minor progress would be fired. Sometime later, the first prototype, called the Edison, was created, and here's how it works. You take a drop of blood into a small cartridge and put it into the machine, which directly runs various tests. The reports would then be wirelessly transferred into a lab where they would be analyzed, making the whole process seamless and easy. To put into perspective, the machine would make blood tests faster, more efficient, and better than the ones that we have today. That's precisely what the device claimed to do, meaning it rarely worked. The Edison came with an extremely high error rate, and even the people from Theranos knew that there was room for a lot more improvement before the machine was ready. At this point, Theranos had burned its first fund, and it needed more money for research quickly and to keep all the employees working for them. Well, Elizabeth started sweet-talking more investors with her entrepreneurial charm until she found a hack. She started bragging about this revolutionary machine that would change the world of blood tests. Being the intelligent lady she was, she knew these investors would want an elaboration of how the machine worked. To do this, she created the perfect deception to fool even the most intelligent investor. After getting the blood test from the investors, she would send them for lunch to hang out and let the machines do their job. But the samples would be instead sent to the lab where scientists would run the blood tests and give them the report. Seeing such a revolutionary project, the investors were fooled. The company's own CFO told Elizabeth to stop doing fake demonstrations because it was misleading investors and would cause a lot of problems in the long term. Elizabeth even forced the employees to make the company's revenue look much better than it was, which caused a lot of ruckus everywhere. At this point, the CFO confronted Elizabeth about this mess, and her reaction was crazy. She looked at him dead in the eye and told him to leave right now. However, the chief financial officer was just one of the many people she fired and then continually lied about everything. It got to a point where Elizabeth became delusional. She wanted the Edison to be used on terminally ill cancer patients, which a lot of people from her company had a problem with. But what happened? Well, she fired them. But it worked for Elizabeth because she was ultimately surrounded by all the yes men who wanted Theranos to succeed, even if it was based on lies. Another lie that Elizabeth told was that she hired her boyfriend Sunny Balwani as second-in-command, but kept it all a secret from everyone. Sunny was just like Elizabeth, if not worse. He would angrily shout at the employees, constantly micromanage them, and act like Elizabeth's puppet. In 2013, Theranos announced its partnership with Walgreens and Safeway. This was the first time that the general public was able to use their devices, and the results were quite impressive. The only problem was that Elizabeth was hoping for that. She hoped that the machines would be fully working by the time they launched in stores. However, the machines weren't working. They were still producing fake results. But did it stop Elizabeth from moving on? Well, no. Both Walgreens and Safeway were pouring out a lot of money into this that Theranos had already spent. And by launching in stores, Theranos raised a capital of around $400 million. Seeing this, wealthy investors from all over the world started pouring a whole lot of money into Theranos without asking many questions. From Rupert Murdoch to the Walton family, everyone invested in Theranos, which gave it a lot of credibility. At this point, Elizabeth would launch in stores and take the blood samples, which were, by the way, being taken by traditional methods and would take a tremendous amount of time to be processed. In other words, this was just a standard blood test. Even while being a regular test, she was sending the wrong results to the people, putting the lives of thousands of people at risk. But at this point, she couldn't lie anymore, and something so unexpected happened that it took her to prison. Elizabeth Holmes, the founder and CEO of Theranos, was exposed as a fraud in 2015 following a series of investigations by the Wall Street Journal. The journal's reporting revealed that Theranos' flagship blood testing device, the Edison, was inaccurate and unreliable. The company had also been using commercially available machines made by other manufacturers for most of its testing, while claiming to use its own proprietary technology. The journal's reporting was based on interviews with whistleblowers from within Theranos, as well as documents and emails obtained by the newspaper. The revelations sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley and the broader business world and led to a rapid unraveling of Theranos. In 2016, the US Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, inspected Theranos' laboratory and found numerous violations of safety and quality standards. The CMS banned Holmes from operating a blood testing service for 2 years. Theranos also faced several lawsuits from investors and patients harmed by the company's inaccurate tests. In 2018, Theranos dissolved, and Holmes was charged with criminal fraud. She was convicted on 4 counts of defrauding investors in January 2022 and sentenced to 11 years. The 2 whistleblowers were Erica Chung and Tyler Schultz, who did the world a lovely deed by revealing the lies of Elizabeth. But what about today? Where is Elizabeth Holmes now? Elizabeth Holmes is currently serving an 11-year prison sentence at Federal Prison Camp Bryan, Texas. She is expected to be released on December 29, 2032. From being a bright young student to a scammer, Elizabeth Holmes got all of her lies exposed. She tried to fool the world with her incomplete technology, and instead of admitting her fault, she narcissistically lied to everyone and even put the lives of thousands of people in danger. This shows that one day or another, no matter how intellectual you are, the world is going to expose your lies. That is just nature. And that was the demise of Elizabeth Holmes, who was once hailed as the next Steve Jobs. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon for future documentaries like these. Until next time, peace.